beauties, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. I am going to, just like I promised, talk to you guys about the top 3 books that I have right here that changed my life that I read in 2018. So with that being said, let's jump right into the top 3 books of 2018. Okay, so we are going to start off with Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I actually started reading this towards the end of 2018, but I did buy this book in 2015 when it was first published. Now, this is the type of book that has been in my life since 2015, but even though I started reading it back then, I put it back on the shelf and I didn't finish it. I didn't even get halfway through because the information in here was not relevant to the life experience that I was living. So you are going to find that if you are starting to read, that you will find books that just come into your life at the perfect time and change you, and you're gonna find that a lot of the wisdom held between the pages are going to be big revelations and things that you really needed to hear. So that's exactly what happened with Big Magic. I was really focused on creativity. I was attending workshops to really bring back that creative spark that was completely gone. When I was first letting go, I was just, who am I? What do I want to do? I'm not creative. I don't want to create. I do, but I don't know what to create. That's what I was experiencing then. So I picked up Big Magic. I said to my husband, let's just go on a beautiful trip up to Monterey, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite city in the world. Page number 8, we have creative living defined. What is creative living? The universe buries strange jewels deep within us all, and then stands back to see if we can find them. The hunt to uncover those jewels, that's creative living. The courage to go on a hunt in the first place, that's what separates a mundane existence from a more enchanted one. Each and every single person in this planet is born with a gift. Do any of you know what your gift is? To some people, it might be a lot more evident because they might be born with musical talent. They might be able to play a guitar as if it was just an extension of themselves. They might be able to produce beautiful, angelic vocals that provide healing to people in the world, and plants and animals. When I was a little girl, I really thought I had no talent because I couldn't sing, I couldn't act, I couldn't model, I had no talent in sports or anything of that nature. So I really did grow up believing that, wow, like really, God? You gave people all this talent, you don't want to give me not just one talent? That was my mentality as a young girl coming up. I really felt like if you didn't have those talents, then you had no talent. If you didn't know how to draw, if you didn't know how to be artistic and sculpt, then you had no talents. Those are talents, but there's also different types of talents. The way that you make people feel, the way that you communicate. So many different unorthodox talents out there, and you have one. Even if you feel like you don't have one, there's a jewel deep within you, and your job really is to uncover that jewel, to bring it forth. Having the courage to find those hidden treasures buried deep within you is what's going to separate a mundane existence from an enchanted one. Maybe you're someone who's going to school to become a doctor or a nurse because you want to make your parents proud. But that's not really what you want to do. What you want to do is write. You want to be a writer. A mundane existence would be you living your life for other people but yourself. Maybe you are with a person who is not making you happy, but you can't let go of that because you're just so used to it. You're not happy, but you know letting go of that person will change you forever. And you don't have to be afraid to be alone. You can't live your life in fear. Right on the next page, Elizabeth also talks about fear. I'm talking about living a life that is driven more strongly by curiosity than by fear. Now ask yourself, am I living my life out of curiosity? Or do I not want to do something that I know is going to set me free because I'm scared? My biggest breakthrough that I had in my life happened in Costa Rica in 2017, I believe. It might have been 2016. I already knew, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And look how long it took me to hold on to that and finally let go, because I was scared of letting go of what I was doing because I was doing it all the time. It was normal. Yeah, I'm not really fulfilled, but then again, my mortgage is getting paid. Things are getting paid. And I really got to a point in my life where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I just said, I am done. I'm done. From today, today is the day that my life changes. It happened in October because I journaled about it. If I just go back to the journal entries that I have in here from October, which is when I started writing this journal, hey, it could turn into a book. Look at the opening quote that I have here. It says, be willing to let go of who you think you are to become what you are capable of being. Isn't that amazing? Be a truth seeker. Those are things that just really resonated with me. This was the opening quote. This was the theme of my life in October. And there's a picture of me as a little girl, because I did a lot of healing. A lot of the healing that I've been working on has been for this little girl here. You have no idea how amazing, how incredible, how fulfilled your life can be by letting go of who you think you should be, who you think the world thinks you should be. The next book here is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Now this book is based on Toltec wisdom. The Toltec people were ancient people in Mexico. They formed a society. These people were scientists, they were artists, and they really cultivated and really tried to save and honor all of the spiritual knowledge of their people. And they really wanted to conserve that spiritual knowledge that a lot of the times has been lost. In today's day and age, I feel like we are looking for more spiritual knowledge. We want to be connected to our roots because of the internet, because we're feeling so disconnected from one another, because we are living in the matrix. So in my quest to find a lot of truths about myself, this book was also life-changing. Highly recommended if you implement these agreements into your life. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word, but also be impeccable with the way that you speak to yourself. The second agreement, don't take things personally. We take a lot of things personally a lot of the time. I had just prayed a few weeks ago for God to really help me exercise my voice when I needed to speak up, right? Speak up even if you feel scared, if you feel like your heartbeat is starting to beat really fast. Speak up and use your voice and speak your truth. And the last one is don't make assumptions. That's the last agreement. Don't make assumptions. A few weeks ago in the morning, I prayed to God for Him to give me more patience and for me to be able to use my voice when I need to use my voice, to speak up for myself, because that's something that I struggled with before because I don't want to upset anybody, right? How many of you guys can relate to this? You don't want to make anybody upset, you don't want to offend anybody, but people have no issue in offending you. Isn't that funny? Isn't that so interesting? So that's one of my main things that I wanted to practice more, is use my voice and speak my truth. And so whenever you pray to God, well, this is from my own experience, whenever I pray for something, God is just not going to be like, okay, well, now you have the gift of speaking up a little bit more than usual. Now you have it. So you prayed for it. Here it is. No. What's going to happen is that God is going to put me in a situation where I am going to have to practice that lesson and learn from it and do it. That's what's going to happen. So that's what I expect. If I pray for patience, I'm going to be placed in situations where I'm going to have to practice patience. It's not just going to be all of a sudden, oh, I'm just so patient. No, I have to work for it and I have to overcome that lesson. Because like I said in my last video, it's all about evolving from who you were in the past. So I still have to evolve from that. I have to learn that lesson. That's one of the reasons why I'm here on earth. And he put me in a situation where two women were talking over me at the nail salon very obnoxiously. And I found it to be very rude because they were literally talking so loud over me like this that I couldn't even relax and have my own thoughts. And I did walk away upset at first in the car because I was like, that was a moment. Do you not realize this was the moment that you prayed for this morning and you didn't use your voice? I should have said, excuse me, do you not find it rude that you are speaking over me? Right? But the fact that they both apologized at different points to me made me feel like, okay, well, at least they apologized, right? But I ended up taking that very personal because I'm like, what is it about me that made them want to talk over me and make them feel like it's okay to just talk over me? So I took that personal, right? Don't take things personal. I went into the car, and this is where the magic happened for me. I went into the car and I analyzed the situation. And I'm like, why am I feeling upset? I already decided in the morning, this is a big win for me. I decided in the morning that I am going to have an amazing day regardless of what people do around me. That's the magic, okay? You decide how your day is going to be, and you are not going to be a reactive person to what other people are doing. So if somebody's being an a-hole, are you going to be an a-hole too? No, right? No, because you already decided, I'm not going to be an a-hole. Why am I all of a sudden going to turn into something that does not align with me just because somebody else is acting that way? I don't want to be like that. So why am I going to turn like that just because somebody else, a stranger? So I decided I am not going to let that bother me. I'm going to have a great day, and they are not going to affect my day. And later on that night, I had another revelation. So that was a big win for me, right? Because after I processed it, I'm like, okay, you can't be upset. You let that go. Here's something else, because I hadn't realized that this was God sending me a lesson. I actually was able to let go of the feeling of resentment towards them for making me feel uncomfortable. I was able to let go of that when I realized that it was not about me. And you know what I did instead? I said, thank you. Thank you to both of them. I do believe that God put those two women in my life so I can learn. So those two women were a part of my evolution as a human, which is something wonderful that is happening to me. How could I hold anything against them when they played a role in me becoming a better version of myself? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I know, major, super major, and that's a mixture between don't take anything personal and the 7 habits of highly effective people. A mix of these two things all happened simultaneously. So that's why I feel like if I hadn't chosen to read these books, then all of this awareness, all of these different ways of me looking at situations would have not been a possibility for me. And instead, I would revert to the old ways and I would continue to live my life the same way. Things need to change. Change needs to happen if you want a different life. You really do need to do things differently and see and react to things differently. Oh, this book is filled with so much wisdom, guys, so much wisdom. I've had this question for about 20 years. 20 years. I've had this question and I had no answer to it. I said, why do I not love myself? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough? So I asked myself, what in my childhood caused me to not love myself and caused me to see myself as someone with no value or being good enough for the world? After reading that the fear of being rejected comes from the fear of not being good enough, and I highly encourage you guys in the comment section or in your journal to ask yourself, what in my childhood, what experiences have I lived through that people or events or situations rejected who I was? And I started to think, when was I rejected? I was rejected in school for not being a good student. I remember in 7th grade, my sister Cynthia got me into this program by asking her teacher, an after-school program. She asked her teacher, Mr. Lopez, like, hey, Mr. Lopez, I have a sister who would love to be a part of this program. And the program was called AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination. And this was like a place for all this intelligent kids, all the smart kids were in this program. And I wanted to be a part of it because my friends were in there too. And I got in, but I felt like a fraud because my sister had to talk to the teacher to get me in, and I wasn't just invited or selected like the other students. So I felt rejected and I felt like a fraud because I didn't feel like I was an intelligent child because I got nothing but bad grades and I had a hard time learning. I was just not focused on school at all. I was also rejected by the popular kids in high school and in junior high. I was rejected by boys in school since junior high. I was rejected by the first boy that I loved. He rejected me after he saw me. I was rejected by this other boyfriend that I had in high school since the age of 14 to 17. I had this one boyfriend who constantly rejected me, and I would do everything that I can to change who I was to make him happy. And when he would reject that, I would come back and I'd be like, okay, well, he didn't like this. What if I do this? What if I do this? Maybe he'll like me, you know? Maybe he'll love me like I love him because I was in love, supposedly. And I did a lot of things to be accepted. In high school, I was rejected by the cool kids. So I would act out, I would disrespect my teacher, I would ditch school because I thought maybe that would make me cool and the kids would like me. I did a lot of dumb things to be accepted, to feel like I was good enough. And I never went to therapy for any of these issues. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even pinpoint like that the rejection that they were giving me was making me feel like I was just not good enough, like I was not beautiful. And then I went into the military and I went into my 20s and into my adult life feeling like I was not good enough for a project, good enough to be seated at a table with highly intellectual people to conduct business, or feeling like I was not good enough to walk a red carpet because my value was not measured up to an artist like Brad Pitt or Jennifer Lopez value. I felt like they had more value than I did, but the truth is that it's false. We all have equal value as humans. And I even carried that through walking into a store and feeling like I'm not good enough to be at this store or at the Chanel store. I'm not good enough to be at the Chanel store or at the Ritz-Carlton or at the Four Seasons. I'm just not good enough to be here. Everything was like, I'm not good enough. And I didn't know why I felt this way until I read this line, and it made me think of all the times that I was rejected and I failed to see the magic within myself. And I only believed what other people said about me. And do you see how dangerous that is? And how you shouldn't live your life like that? How you should be the one defining who you are and your values and what you stand for and what you want to live for? Regardless of what society, the priest, your parents, your friends, anybody, regardless of what anybody says, it should be up to you. which takes me into the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is actually the workbook that I just picked up. This is the last book that I'm going to talk about. So I just picked up the workbook just recently, actually, because I downloaded the actual book here on my iPad. So it's been the iBook that I've been reading. So I am going to pull up my journal also because it has so much to do with what I'm going to talk about. And this is the only book that I have to tell you guys I have not finished reading, but has created a lot of changes in my life since I started this. This is a really excellent book, great values to live by. And this is one of the books that I'm reading right now that I'm constantly on Snapchat and just talking to you guys about like the things that I am learning, right? Which gets me really excited. So in these 2 pages, this one's blank because I still have to fill it up. But in this one, I have my personal mission statement, my philosophy, and the way that I want to live my life. It's just one of the habits in here, one of the things among one of the habits in here that it suggests that you should do. Each of us should have a mission statement by which we live our life. And in that statement, that philosophy is going to be the guidelines that you wrote for your life and how you're going to live it, the things that you want. One of the things that I wrote in here is, among a lot of things, is that I will not talk about someone who is not in the room. If that's not a part of your philosophy and your friend starts gossiping about somebody who's not in the room with you, then you can easily fall into the trap of contributing negative energy into gossiping about someone who's not there. When you make it a part of your philosophy, you know this is a value of mine. This is, no matter what happens in the outside world, even if my friend comes over and she starts gossiping about someone, I already know I have a value, and my values will not change based on people because these are set. You can change them, of course, but this is a value that you put in place. Your philosophy will be completely personal to you and what you want in this world. For me, gossip is a big one because I have contributed to gossip in the past. And even at one point, after hearing one of my friends discuss how much she enjoys gossiping, I thought, well, maybe there isn't anything bad with gossip, right? But in my heart, that does not align with me. You know, I don't want to talk about someone who's not there because it's not productive to the conversation at all. It's not going to make any situation better. And we are sending negative poison, emotional poison to people energetically when we partake in gossip. So I don't want to be a part of it. It's not good. It's not good energy. We want to vibrate higher. We want to be up here. Maintain a positive attitude, seek divine help, nurture my spirituality, keep a sense of humor, don't judge, hustle while you wait, plan tomorrow's work today. A lot of things that are in my philosophy, but that's why it's so effective. And you can also even do a philosophy with your family, your values as a family, and in so many different things in your business. What are your values in your business, and how do you want people in the team that are a part of that team to conduct themselves? So yeah, this is the first book that actually introduced me to paradigm shifts, because that's how they start the book off, is by talking about paradigms and how they can completely shift the way that you see the world. But I'm really excited to use this personal book, to be honest with you, because this personal workbook, because it really allows you to dig deeper into the subjects and really have time of reflection. And what makes me really excited also is that in the actual book, not in this workbook, he recommends, Stephen Covey, that you should talk about what you're learning as a way of teaching yourself. So whatever I'm learning, I should also be able to teach it to you guys, because I'm also going to be able to retain that information and implement it into my life. So life-changing book, guys. Highly recommend. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I will link all of them down in the description box. I want to hear from you guys in the comments section down below. What are your top 3 books of 2018? In the comments section down below, I will be sharing with you guys 3 books that I want to start reading this month. and in February, and then I will be so excited to add a lot of the books that you guys are recommending into my own personal list. So with that being said, have a blessed and beautiful day. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you are notified when this video goes live, because I will be going live in the chat. I love discussing what I'm talking about in the video with you guys. So if you have any questions, that is the best time to get my answers. I will be reading your comments. I'm super excited for everything that we are about to do together in this journey. You and I, personal growth journey together. So I'm super, super excited about that, guys. So with that being said, have a blessed and beautiful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.